ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Jags, Bengals, what a game. And look, I was wrong about what the Jaguars were going to provide for us tonight. I did say this, but I was wrong. Let me start off by saying I was wrong. I thought Cincinnati would dominate this game. You would see the defense that I've been talking about to this point, and they highlighted that throughout the night, but they had some injuries. I think Chidobe Awuzie's injury was a lot bigger than we let on, and that I thought it was going to be, because Laviska Shenault had himself a night tonight. So did Trevor Lawrence. Thought you saw on display why these two quarterbacks were the number one overall picks in the last two NFL drafts. They were outstanding, and they were dueling. And remember, I had said the same thing about the Cincinnati game against Cleveland last year in week 2, when that was a matchup featuring two former number one overall draft picks in the Battle of Ohio. And I said everyone thought it was going to be a blowout, including myself. And Burrow threw it like 36 times in the first half and ended up being like a 38-30 shootout. It was a great football game. And I said, we could get one of those. We could get one of those. Two former first round, number one overall picks, duking it out, and having a fun game between the two young quarterbacks that could be, one of two of the better young quarterbacks in the league when it's all said and done down the road. That's exactly what we got. And I didn't think it was what we were going to get. I thought we were going to get sheer domination by the Bengals defense. And you saw them step up when they had to. They were struggling in the first half. Jacksonville was taking it to them. You heard them say during the telecast that Trevor Lawrence said he wanted to use his legs more and have that be a bit of a threat for the defense, something for them to think about. And you saw that in this game. He used his legs a ton in the first half. Unfortunately, it was the one time he used his legs that it didn't work that ultimately cost him this game. That stop by the Cincinnati Bengals defense on that speed option that they ran on 4th and goal from the 1. First of all, I don't like the call. I think it was from the 1, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the 2. But if it's the 1 yard line, you got a 6'6" quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and I think it was the 1 yard line. Literally. You got a 6'6" quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, man. You go quarterback sneak there. Have him leap over the top, stretch that thing out, whatever you got to do. You got a 6'6" quarterback. You got to find a way to get in the end zone. Anyway, they get stopped. They get stonewalled. Great play by Larry Ogunjobi and Wilson, the linebacker. Remember, I've been telling you guys about, Logan Wilson and how good he is. I said he was a great value version of Leighton Vander Esch when he was drafted out of Wyoming. And the guy has tremendous ball skills, but you saw his ability to tackle tonight. He had some physical tackles that really helped this team make some big-time stops down the stretch, including that one right before half on the goal line stand. So the defense showed up when it had to. They got the stop at the end of the game, tied up at 21 after the offense responded to Jacksonville's touchdown. Offense for Cincinnati goes back and gets the score. Now it's knotted up at 21 apiece, and they needed to stop. And the defense came up huge with a stop right around midfield, and the Bengals offensively did the rest. You see why Joe Burrow was the number one overall pick and why Cincinnati Bengals fans feel like they've got their guy. And he was spectacular tonight, phenomenal. So was Trevor Lawrence. This was Lawrence's best game. This is the first game this season he hasn't turned the football over. Came into this game with 7 interceptions over the first 3 weeks, but did not turn it over in this ball game. And him and Laviska Shenault really had chemistry tonight. How about Dan Arnold in his first game as a Jacksonville Jaguar, coming over and making some big catches? He made some plays for them as well. But the real story here is Cincinnati starting off the season at 3-1. Big win here. And what I also failed to realize, and I've talked about this. Remember, I told you about, the Ravens potentially falling in the trap on the road at Detroit. A little different situation when you're going on the road versus being at home, but still, there's an emotional letdown that can be had when you get a big win like the Bengals got last week over the Steelers on the road. Hadn't won in Pittsburgh in 5 years. Tyler Boyd's talking about how the Steelers, quit at the end of the game with all the drops that they had towards the end of that ball game. And there was a sense that, hey, we just conquered one of the bullies of the division. There are two in that division, okay? Baltimore and Pittsburgh. But they conquered one of them. The Steelers don't look like themselves this year. And so it was a big win for them to go there and not only win, but dominate that game. They dominated the Steelers in week 3 on the road. And so there's an emotional attachment that goes to that win. And there's a ton of energy expended when you win a game like that on the road. And you saw that they came out flat. And you know what else I want to say? Remember on my podcast yesterday, I talked about field goal kicking and how important it is to make field goals. When you miss a field goal, it's not just the fact that you didn't put 3 points on the board. It's also the fact that it kills momentum because you didn't come away with any points on that drive and you're giving up great field position. And it was 0-0. Jaguars got a couple of first downs on their opening possession, then punted. Cincinnati moves it right down the field. The drive stalls out. They send their rookie kicker, who I told you guys has been phenomenal this season. It was his first miss of his career, Evan McPherson. He misses from 43. And the Jaguars, from that point forward in the first half, dominated the remainder of the first half, scored 14 unanswered points, and was literally within inches of scoring 21 unanswered points in the first half. But a big stop, as I mentioned, by Larry Ogunjobi and Logan Wilson to stop Trevor Lawrence at the goal line and really save this game for Cincinnati. If they fall down 21-0, I don't think they have a comeback in them tonight. So that was a huge play, and it really was the turning point of the ball game, because after that, you get 14 unanswered from Cincinnati and to start the second half to knock this game back up. And I thought, because I told you guys on the podcast yesterday, what happened to Jacksonville when they got the pick 6 against Trevor Lawrence, when Arizona got the pick 6 against Trevor Lawrence last week, is that even though they were still ahead 19-17 because they'd missed 2 extra points, they heard footsteps, they felt the Cardinals breathing on their neck, and they said to themselves, here we go again, they're going to beat us. And they shut down after that pick 6. The game was essentially over at that point. The Cardinals would then score 21 unanswered points, win that game, going away 31-19. And I thought when Cincinnati came out with the haymaker to start the third quarter, got the opening kickoff, went right down the field, scored the touchdown, I said, uh-oh, here we go. And then they go 3 and out on the ensuing possession, and then Cincinnati goes right back down the field and scores another touchdown. I'm thinking, okay, Jacksonville's checked out. They're done. They hear the footsteps. The crowd is getting involved now, and now the pressure is starting to mount, and now they're going to crumble like they did last Sunday, and they didn't do that. Trevor Lawrence had a big-time drive, took him down the field. Laviska Shenault continuing to make big-time plays, and they move it right down the field and get into the end zone, and it's just like that. It's 21-14. I'm thinking these guys are really going to try to get Herb his first win tonight. And Joe Burrow and company come right back down the field. And again, what about CJ Uzomah tonight? Man, was he big time. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, CJ Uzomah, those were the 3 stars receiving wise for the Bengals tonight. Those guys were big time for Burrow. Burrow had how many completions in this game? What was it? 25? I'd venture to say that of the 25 completions, maybe 19 to 21 of them come to those 3 receivers in Boyd, Chase, and Uzomah. They were phenomenal in this game. Uzomah with 2 touchdown grabs and a big catch on the final drive to set up the field goal on the wide receiver screen when the Jags came with pressure. And it was a great job of Burrow getting them in the right play and getting the football out in the face of pressure. Big drive by Cincinnati to respond and tie the game up at 21 apiece. And then the Jaguars had a chance. They got the football, tie ball game with about 9 minutes left. They start moving the football down the field. They get all the way to midfield, and then they stall out with right around 5 minutes left in this ball game. And I was tempted to tell Herb, you got to go for this, bro. You're right around midfield. You got to go for this, man. You punt this ball away, I don't think you're going to see it again. You haven't gotten a defensive stop all second half. The Bengals went 4 for 4 in the second half, scored 24 points after being shut out in the first half. In my mind, They're 3 of 3 at that point, 3 straight touchdown drives. I'm saying, Herb, bruh, you got to go for it here. Worst case scenario is that Cincinnati gets a touchdown or they get a field goal, but you still got time left because they had, you know how I feel about burning second half timeouts. Both teams had squandered second half timeouts, but I said to myself, with 5 minutes left, you much rather them score quickly and give you a chance than to them have them bleed out the rest of this clock and kick a walk-off field goal, which is eventually what happened. But he said, nope, I'm going to let my defense have a say, have a chance to get us a stop, maybe pin them deep, get a stop, a 3 and out, and maybe get us back the ball in great field position to go win this thing. He trusted his defense that didn't have, you know, their fastball in that second half after having a tremendous first half. They couldn't get a stop. They couldn't buy a stop in the second half. And I was thinking to myself, Herb, I don't think you want to do this, bro. He did it. The Bengals start their drive at the 10-yard line. And wouldn't you know it, Burrow systematically takes them down the field. And they were in no hurry. It was a steady diet of run, couple of Joe Burrow timely throws mixed in on that drive. But for the most part, they kept it on the ground. They, like I said, matriculated that ball down the field because they knew we either win this thing in regulation or we're going to OT, but they're not going to see this thing again. And they were able to bleed that clock. A big-time penalty on the drive also helped aid Cincinnati, and they move it into field goal range on that wide receiver screen to Uzama, and they get the walk-off field goal from the rookie kicker Evan McPherson from 34 yards out to send the Bengals to 3-1 on the season. Meanwhile, that is a deflating loss for Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Valiant effort by Trevor Lawrence, who was game tonight. Him and the rest of his teammates were definitely game. You hate to see DJ Chark go down. That's their best receiver. He's down for a while with the ankle sprain. They're calling it an ankle sprain. That's the best case scenario because when he went down, I was scared that he just lost his ACL, you know, potentially his Achilles. But a lot of times it's usually the knee when a guy gets rolled up on and not the Achilles. But good to hear that it's just an ankle sprain. I say just an ankle sprain. He could be out for a month and some change with that thing because it seemed like a really bad one. When you got to get carted off due to an ankle sprain, it's pretty bad. It could be a high ankle sprain at the end of the day. Without their best receiver, they go out and put up one hell of a fight. There are no moral victories in the NFL. They're now 0-4. They don't go back home to Jacksonville saying to themselves, man, we gave it a hell of a run against a 3-1 football team. We feel good. No, they're pissed. They lost. It's tough. Bitter pill to swallow, but they fought their asses off. This is the best showing we've seen from Jacksonville all season long, and maybe they can build off of that next week and maybe get their first win of the season. Tough, bitter pill to swallow, as I just mentioned. Tough way to go out if you're Jacksonville, but you fought hard, gave yourself a chance, but you didn't have enough in the tank in the second half, didn't come out with that same intensity. And that's what you see from young teams. I talked about this with the Washington football team on the show, Washington Football Nightly tonight, that with young teams, this is what you get. You get inconsistency, and you don't know with a young team what you're going to get from week to week, game to game, but quarter to quarter, half to half, play to play. Okay, you don't really know what you're going to get from a young team. And we saw a Jacksonville Jaguars team that in the first half that was clicking on all cylinders, defensively, offensively, special teams. And in the second half, they couldn't buy a defensive stop. And the offense, while it was okay, it wasn't as good and in sync as it was in the first half. So just the inconsistent nature of a young football team showed in this game. And that's why the Cincinnati Bengals were able to come out on top. Big win for them. They're now 3-1. And like I said, when I was previewing this game on the podcast yesterday, they're going to start 3-1, and they're going to be better than people think. I still don't think they're a playoff team when it's all said and done. I think they'll run into a few roadblocks throughout the season. I still think that I don't know about Baltimore this year, man. They're winning some close games. They're getting some reinforcements this week. Now Lamar Jackson all of a sudden has some mysterious back injury. Might have come from that stupid-ass front flip he did against Kansas City. You know what I mean? I think that's where it came from. You know, doing stupid shit. Instead of just running in the end zone, he does a front tuck, lands on his back, and now all of a sudden his back is sore. Whatever the case may be. Baltimore is iffy. Cincinnati is a tough out. I still think those two teams are better than Cincinnati in that division, but Only one way to find out. These teams are going to have to play one another to figure that out. And so it'll be interesting. But if you're Cincinnati, you're kicking yourself because you could be 4-0 right now. You have no business losing to Chicago on the road a couple of weeks ago. But that's old news. Can't do anything about that. All they've done is respond to that adversity with 2 straight wins, including going on the road and beating Pittsburgh for the first time in 5 years and overcoming a 14-point deficit in the first half in which you did not play well, coming back and winning this football game. Nobody's going to talk about you only beating Jacksonville, the 0-4 Jaguars now by 3 points. The only thing we're going to talk about is that you put another one in the left-hand column. You're now 3-1, big win. And that's the growth and maturity of this football team. Maybe a season ago, maybe 2 years ago, they don't win this football game. But now you find ways to win these types of games. That's 2 of them this season that they found ways to win. They beat Minnesota in a game that they almost blew. Minnesota had a chance to win. Dalvin Cook fumbles in overtime. They find a way to win, and then they do it again tonight. Wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, and most importantly, it was a dub. And now the Bengals sit at 3-1 atop the AFC North division. Who would have thought 4 weeks into the season, we'd say the Cincinnati Bengals are 3-1 and atop the AFC North, and at 1-2, the Pittsburgh Steelers are at the bottom, but even more so, the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs sit in last place in the AFC West division. This is a crazy season. Same could be said for the Seattle Seahawks at 1-2. I'm going to have a lot to say about that on the podcast tomorrow, so tune in for that. But what a game it was. Let's talk about this game, and I've got some super chats, so I want to get to those real quick. And then if you're out there and you want to have your say-so as well, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. Once again, if you want to jump to the front of the line, the best way to do so is via the super chat. So let's get to those super chats first and foremost. And we started off with Zach LaRoche. Thank you for the super chat, Zach. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Zach LaRoche, writes, Cincy will show this year that all you need is a good offensive mind, quality quarterback, and a few weapons to be competitive. That's why I think the 2016 team was the most compelling one recently in Washington. While I hear what you're saying, Zach, I beg to differ because Cincinnati is actually really good defensively. I don't know if you got the sense of that tonight. This is not the Cincinnati team I've been watching the first 3 weeks in terms of defensive prowess, but you can see what some of the you saw flashes of what I saw. You saw Logan Wilson play tonight, and you saw how good he was. Trey Hendrickson had a sack. It was negated by a penalty, but you see how good he's been for them. Larry Ogunjobi made the big stop down by the goal line along with Logan Wilson. He's been impactful for them. Mike Hilton didn't have as good of a night tonight as he's been having for them throughout this early season. But the guy that they really missed tonight was Chidobe Awuzie. His play outside at corner has been stellar to start the season off. And so you had Eli Apple, who stinks, out there, and you could tell they were absolutely going after those corners, and Trey Wayne, and Eli Apple both equally. And they had success on both sides of the football field with Laviska Shenault. So Cincinnati does have everything that you said, an offensive mind in Zach Taylor, who, comes from that Sean McVay tree, that Mike Shanahan style of offense, zone run blocking scheme, play action fake off of that. They implement some of the things that Joe Burrow does well. So you're going to see a little bit more gun and things of that nature too. But, they want to stretch you. They want to run you sideways, and then they want to tire out your defense, and then hopefully in the fourth quarter be able to wear you down and get some big runs. And they were able to get some good hits in that fourth quarter with Joe Mixon before he got injured late in the ball game. So he's a really good offensive mind. They don't have a quality quarterback. They have a young budding star at quarterback. They don't have Kirk Cousins at quarterback. They got Joe Burrow at quarterback. That's a little bit different, but I know where you're going with that. And a few weapons to be competitive. They've got more than a few. Okay. They've done a really good job. If you look at what they have, they were missing arguably their third best receiver tonight, and they were just fine. Okay. I mean, think about it this way. They got Auden Tate as probably their fourth option at receiver. He stepped up and was their third option tonight. They got the kid from Stanford who caught a nice back shoulder fade down the sidelines, who's a rookie. And then again, CJ Uzama was out there. They got Sample, the other tight end, and but they were missing the Clemson wide receiver tonight. And so they have a ton of talent with Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, who they were missing tonight. And then you throw in, the Auden Tate and all of the other guys that they have. They got a ton of talent. Joe Mixon can catch it out of the backfield. The rookie running back out of Michigan, he can catch it out of the backfield as well. They've got a ton of talent around Joe Burrow. And, there was a lot made about not getting the offensive tackle for Burrow, but instead opting to go with Jamar Chase. I love the decision because if you don't have a true number one wide receiver, it's tough for your young quarterback to flourish. He has to have that guy that he knows he can go to, that he trusts. And not to say that Tyler Boyd isn't that. To me, Tyler Boyd is one of the best number two wide receivers in all of football. Love Tyler Boyd to pieces. That being said, he's not a number one, and neither is T. Higgins. So I think they realize that T. Higgins is really good. He's not a number one. Tyler Boyd is really good. He's not a number one. You know what would complete this offense? Jamar Chase, because he is a legitimate number one wide receiver, and you're seeing that already in this young NFL season. So I understand where you're coming from. You want to be dynamic and explosive on offense, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to get stops defensively when they are necessary. And Cincinnati's defense did that tonight. When it was necessary, they were able to get a stop. They didn't get a ton of them, but when it was necessary, they got stops. When they got the first touchdown and they started to wrestle the momentum away and they cut the deficit to 7 at 14-7, they got to stop. Got the ball back to the offense, touchdown, tie ball game. All right, Jacksonville responds. The offense responds, and it's tied up at 21 again. You need to stop. Jacksonville's looking to try to win this game. They got to stop. It wasn't pretty, and it took them a while, right around midfield, but they got the stop, and then the offense was able to do what they ultimately did, which was get in the field goal range to win the football game. So I understand where you're coming from, but you still got to be able to play defense and get timely stops, and the Cincinnati Bengals were able to do that tonight. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dejan Bell writes, Lou, I'm late, but what do you think of the DC gargoyles? No, gargoyles sounds like some kid's toy that you get from McDonald's in a Happy Meal. Absolutely not. Thank you for the super chat, Dejan Bell. HTTR for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, hey, Lou, unexpectedly great game. Uzama was great. Yes, he was. And I know this was an unexpected good game because a lot of you didn't expect it. A lot of you said, and I'm guilty. I can't try to separate myself. I can't do that. We didn't think it was going to be a great game. I told you that there was a chance, and I said, this is what we have to hope for, that we get that Burrow, Baker Mayfield type of game that we got last year in week 2 when Cincinnati and Cleveland locked horns and we got 38-30. I said, we got to hope for one of those types of games. And that's what we essentially got. 2 young quarterbacks that were number 1 picks overall, like we got last year, dueling it out and showcasing why they were the number 1 overall picks in their respective drafts. And we got that tonight. And so I told you, look, the primetime schedule has not disappointed. We've only gotten 1 stinker per week so far. You could argue we got 2 last week with that Cowboys-Eagles game, but I actually enjoyed it. But I'm an NFC East guy, so of course I'm going to enjoy someone getting their asses kicked on because someone had to lose, and someone had to lose that ball game, and I didn't expect it to get as out of control as it did. So I really did enjoy that game, but I know most of you was like, that one stunk, and I get that. But we are off to another great start, and I think the Brady New England game is going to be an ass kicking. But it's going to be a lot of drama early to start, but I don't think the game is going to ever really be in doubt. I think the Patriots are going to get dominated. So I think that's going to be the stinker this week is Sunday night, because I think Monday night with the Chargers and the Raiders is actually going to be really good football, AFC West family business. So I think we're going to get 2 out of 3 again this week. We've really been hitting at a high clip this season with these primetime games. They've been really good with the fans back in the stands. These players have been putting on a show on primetime television. Last week was the only bad Thursday night game we've had. We've had Thursday night standouts all year long. You know, starting with the Buccaneers and Cowboys week 1, Washington Giants week 2, and now this one in week 4. So, yeah, and it's an unexpectedly good, great game. We won't ever turn those down, ever. So, thank you for that super chat. Have a brand new member of the MOBB. Thank you for your membership. Stand up, Michael Jenkins. You are now officially the newest member of the MOBB. You are definitely in the building. Mob, you know what to do. Show Michael Jenkins some love and welcome him to the squad. Welcome aboard, Michael Jenkins, and look forward to chopping it up with you. Thank you for your membership as a silver member of the MOBB. Got another super chat. This one is from Josh Kirby. Thank you for the super chat, Josh. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, the Atlanta Braves are your 2021 National League East champions. 4 straight, baby. Okay. You know what it is. Tell them again, Josh. Say it a little bit louder for those in the back who are hard of hearing or actually Nationals fans. Let me say it again for you. The Atlanta mother effing Braves, the 21 time NFC East. I was about to say NFC East. NL East. Okay, NL East champion, Atlanta Braves. The most National League East champions, or the most division titles in Major League Baseball history. Let me get that right. The most division titles of any ball club in Major League history. That distinction belongs to the Atlanta Braves, who make it 21 NL East titles. Congratulations to the 2021 Atlanta Braves. And it was rough. It was improbable. People counted us out. I had a guy, I want to say it was, shucks, I forgot who asked me this. Right around, I want to say it was mid-August. And someone had asked me, who's going to win the NL East? And I said, oh, it's going to be the Braves. We gave everybody in the division a chance to run away and hide. Everyone had their shot. The Nationals got hot at one point. They were the hottest team in baseball. They had a chance. The Mets started out like game busters. They were ahead for the better part of the early portion of the season. They didn't take advantage. And then the Phillies had their shot as well, and they couldn't take advantage. We were all kinds of banged up, and we were messed up. You know, our pitching was terrible. The starting pitching was terrible to start the season. Then the bullpen was an issue. The bullpen is still an issue, but it's a little bit better. Bottom line is we made a bunch of moves. Double-A at the deadline went and improved this team greatly despite injuries and the lack of consistency from the bullpen, whatever the case may be. We got better at the deadline, added a bunch of guys in Jock Peterson and Jorge Soler. They added another arm in the bullpen. They added Rosario. I mean, this team came together. Duvall might have been one of the biggest acquisitions. Don't want to forget him. And here we are, yet again, NL East champions, Atlanta Braves. 4 straight, 21 overall, most in Major League Baseball. I'm excited about this postseason because nobody's expecting anything from us. And the way we're pitching right now, if we can get 7 strong from our starters, like we have Morton and Max Fried, and we got a great start from Ian Anderson tonight. We can get 7 strong from any of our starters and just get to the back end of the bullpen. Will Smith scares the hell out of me. I'm talking too much baseball. Anyway, Juan Gotti, that's who it was. He says, it was me. There he is. Juan Gotti Talking Sports asked me around August, and I said, everybody had a chance. We gave everybody an opportunity. They blew it. It's our division now because we're champs. We know what to do with it. If we give you the bag and you fumble it, all right, give it back. We know what to do with it. That's what it is. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for that, Josh Kirby. The champs ahead. The champs ahead. Damn right they are. Anyway, I digress. So let's get back to football. And got Niners fan with a comment here who writes, looking at the schedule, Cincy could easily get to 5-3, which makes that loss to Chicago thing even more. I haven't looked at their schedule since you brought it up. Let's take a look at their schedule and see what that entails. So Cincinnati has the Packers at home, then at the Lions, at the Ravens, at the Jets, and then home for the Browns. Let's see where you get 5-3. So you think they're going to lose to the Packers. You think they're going to probably lose to the Ravens. That's 3 losses. And you think they're going to beat the Lions and the Jets. So that's how they get to 5-3 in your mind. I don't see why they can't beat the Packers. That's at home. If that were in Green Bay, I'd say, okay, they're probably going to lose that game. They can beat the Packers. I haven't been overly impressed with the Packers. I've been blown away by the Green Bay Packers. I think they're good enough defensively to be in that ball game with a chance to win it late. And the Ravens at Baltimore, that's going to be a tough test. That's going to let me know if they really are trying to make the postseason this year. They go to Baltimore and beat the Ravens after going to Pittsburgh and beating the Steelers. If they bloody up the 2 bullies in the division and punch both of them squarely in the mouth in their building, then that tells me Cincinnati's not bullshitting this year and they're trying to show up to the party a year early. Because I thought, all right, Burrow's got to get back into the swing of things. It's going to take him a year to get comfortable. They got Zach Taylor. I'm not sure if he's the right man for the job or not. They may have to fire him and get another guy in here before they turn things around. Whatever the case may be, I said, this isn't going to be the year. Maybe next year. Well, they might show up a year early and crash the party. They go to Baltimore and they win. Or even if they lose that game, but it's close. And because, again, no moral victories, but if they go to Baltimore and they lose on the last-second field goal, or they were dominating the game and Baltimore somehow comes back, because that's what Baltimore has been. They've been the cardiac cats this year, have the Ravens, or the cardiac birds. If they can somehow find a way to be ultra competitive, steal that game, or come close to it, then I may rethink Cincinnati this year. But I can see how you get to 5-3. I think they might beat Green Bay, though. I'm not counting them out in that ball game. They'll have a legitimate shot to beat the Green Bay Packers at home in week number 5. But yeah, that I said that at the top of the show, that loss to the Bears stings. They could be 4-0 right now. They really could be 4-0 and in clear sole possession of first place in that division. But instead, they're at 3-1, and more likely than not, Cleveland will have a legitimate opportunity this week to get to 3-1, and so will the Ravens to tie them atop that division. But yeah, 5-3 is very doable with the schedule. I could see them being 6-2, possibly 7-1. Let's not get crazy, okay? Let's not get crazy. 5-3 is probably more likely what they'll end up being over the next 4 games. But yeah, that Bears game is one that if they miss the postseason by a game, that'll be one of those ones they look back on and say, man, we blew an opportunity there. Let's see. Got another super chat here. This one is from Fat American. Thank you for the super chat, Fat American, and thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, yo, Lou, just clocked out, 13-hour shift. Get that bread. You know how I feel about that, man. Get your bread while it's there to be got. He says, apparently there are some frustration between defensive players and coaches. I noticed last season when Chase was mic'd up and he said, I don't know why I'm in coverage. Ask coach. There could be. Damn it. There could be. I don't know if there really is or not. I can tell you this. No one if you're a pass rusher, you don't want to be dropping in coverage. And I remember Ben Roethlisberger, I know exactly what you're talking about. Ben Roethlisberger asked Chase Young, why are you dropping in coverage, dude? He's like, look, I don't know. Ask my coach. Like, I don't know if that was dissension as much as it was just him saying, look, I don't have the answers, bro. If I were me and I were the coach, I wouldn't have me dropping in coverage. But I don't make the calls. I just do what I'm told. So I didn't take it as a shot or a slight at Jack Del Rio last year. I just took it as, look, I wish I could tell you. I should be coming after your ass. I shouldn't be dropping at a 90-degree angle in a hook zone. I should be coming after your ass and, trying to get to you. But that's nor here nor there. I don't think there's any dissension. I could be wrong and you could be right. I haven't heard anything. And in past years in Washington, if something like that were brewing, you would know. Now it's a different day in Washington, and they may be able to keep things in-house a little bit better, but I don't sense that right now. Even Del Rio, and he might have been downplaying the whole talk on the sidelines. We saw Chase really animated. I don't think there was anything really there. He said, look, Chase was just pretty much saying we got to pick it up defensively. And he said, I agree, essentially is what Del Rio said at his presser today. So I don't know if there's any dissension. Del Rio said this multiple times during his presser, and maybe that is him overcompensating for the fact that there is some dissension. But he says, I love the coaching staff. I love my players. I love this team. I love where we're at. I love what we're doing. He said that multiple times. So I don't know if that's him trying to send a message to everybody that everything's fine, but I didn't feel like that message needed to be sent. So I don't know if there is or there isn't, but you know what the best deodorant is for any dissension. Just win. Or as a wise man once said, just win, baby. Just win. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for that super chat, Fat American. My guy, Fat American, double up, thank you for doubling up, writes, I know it's early, but it's still a bit concerning. Yeah, that is the case. It is concerning what we've seen from the defense, but what can you do? So let's get to the next comment. Niners fan says that defense in Cincy is actually looking really damn good. And that's what I've been trying to tell everyone, watching them these first 3 weeks prior to tonight. Like, man, this Cincinnati defense is playing outstanding ball. I've been super impressed with what they've been able to do defensively, more so than their offense. Their offense has been solid. Joe Burrow's been solid, but he hasn't been, the Burrow from last year. And I didn't expect him to be, but he's been better of late. You see the confidence starting to swell with Burrow after that, 3-pick loss performance to the Bears. He's been a lot better. 2 touchdown passes last week. I believe it might have been 3 and 1 interception, and then another 2 touchdown tosses tonight. So Burrow's, I think he's got 8 now on the season, or maybe even 9. I think it's 8 or 9 touchdown tosses on the season now for Joe Burrow. He's playing much more confident football, but I thought the story for Cincinnati early in this season was the defense. We saw what Minnesota's capable of offensively, and week 1 they really held them down. Minnesota didn't come alive. They were down 21-7 in the fourth quarter, where the Vikings, before rallying and coming alive late in that ball game to send that thing to overtime. So this Cincinnati Bengals defense, I thought, had been the catalyst to this fast start this season. They host the Steelers, which doesn't seem like that big of a feat with their offense being so bad, but still got to go out and do it. Held the Steelers to 10 points. You know what I mean? So this Bengals defense, man, is for real. It's legit. I think they're going to keep them in a lot of ball games and give them a chance to win. And if they can not turn it over and take care of the football and continue to make big plays, Jamar Chase continues to make big plays, had another big catch over, 25, 30 yards in this game. If they can continue to have those big plays and cash in when they get into the red zone, not settle for field goals, but put up touchdowns, they're going to be a team that is going to be pretty interesting to watch moving forward. Niners fan also writes, once they tied the game at 14, I knew the Bengals would find a way to win and the Jags would find a way to lose. I felt the same way. Having watched Jacksonville these first 3 weeks prior to tonight, that's been the MO. Outside of the Broncos game, which was, what was that, week 2, I think it was, they've been in games early. They've given themselves a chance. They were in that Houston game, I think, early. I mean, it got away from them really quickly, though. That thing turned ugly quick. But they were in that game early to start, and then, they made some mistakes. Trevor Lawrence, I think, had 3 interceptions in that game, and it got away from them. But, even in that Broncos game, I think they scored early on Denver. It actually had the lead 7-3, if I'm not mistaken, Trevor, or it might have been 7-0. And Lawrence hits, I want to say, Marvin Jones down the sidelines in the end zone for a touchdown, and it's 7-0. And they're playing with a little bit of confidence, but it didn't take long for Denver to kind of chip away and then ultimately run away and hide in that ball game. But, the Arizona game was the one that let me know that they've got an issue right now mentally. There's some hurdles that they have to overcome. They got to win a close ball game in order to find ways. And that's hard. It's almost like being 16 years old and wanting a job, but every job that you apply for says, hey, we need you to have a year of experience. Well, you don't have any experience. That's the point. You want a job so that you can get experience, but everybody wants you to already come with experience. So you keep finding it hard to find a job. You don't want to just go to Walmart pushing carts or, be at McDonald's flipping burgers. I mean, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. But, you try to go get a job and they're telling you, we need you to have some experience. You're like, well, how the hell am I supposed to get experience if you won't give it to me? Let me have an opportunity. Let me show you what I can do. And it's kind of that same, scenario here with Jacksonville. They won't be able to win these types of games until they actually win one of these types of games. Well, how do you win one of these types of games if you can't win one of these types of games? How do you learn how to win if you can't win one of these types of games? It's tough. They're going to have to figure it out because they're going to be in a bunch of these this year. And they're going to end up on the wrong side of most of them, but they're going to win one or two of them. But this one stings. It really does sting because when they got it to 14-14, I said to myself, I think Cincinnati's going to win this game. But there was still a shred of doubt. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was 100% confident because when Jacksonville went back down the field, I thought they were going to crumble at 14-14. I thought at 14-7, I said, okay, if they go 3-and-out on this next possession, does Jacksonville, then that lets me know they still got that same complex in their head where they're fighting those demons like, here we go again. They went 3-and-out, and Cincinnati went right down the field and scored. And I said, yep, this is it. And I thought they were going to go 3-and-out again, and the floodgates were going to open. But no, Trevor Lawrence took them down the field, and they got in the end zone. And he tried to piss away that drive, but they got help from Von Bell on a defensive holding after Lawrence took a bad sack from Trey Hendrickson that would have probably forced them to have to settle for a field goal. Instead, they get new life. They get in the end zone. And tell you what, at that moment, I said, these bastards are going to try to start me off 0-1 this week. I had some doubt. But once Cincinnati tied it up at 21, that's when I said, okay, they're not built for these types of moments quite yet. And that's when I knew Cincinnati was going to win the game. And they ultimately did. Got another super chat. This one is from Fat American as well. Thank you for the super chat, Fat American, who writes, if Washington football team loses Sunday, do we start draft talk? LOL. I won't. A lot of people have already started draft talk. So, I mean, if we lose to the Falcons, they're definitely going to start that conversation, and it'll get louder. But I'm not going to start that conversation. You know how I am, but I won't shun the people that are having that conversation if we lose to the Falcons. I won't condemn them. I won't shoo them away and dismiss them like I customarily do. But yes, I myself think that they're going to win. So we'll see what happens. Let's see where we left off. Right here. Juan Gotti talking sports writes, wow, Lou, to think the Bengals are a 3-point loss to the Bears from being 4-0 right now. I know, right? Who would have thought? And man, I didn't know the jungle could get rocking like that. It was loud. So, that's the crazy part. If you haven't been paying attention for a number of years, when the Bengals are good, the jungle is literally that, a madhouse. It is a jungle. I remember when the Bengals were good, when Marvin Lewis was there and they were winning 10, 11 games every year with Andy Dalton or Carson Palmer and going to the playoffs. And I would be sitting up here screaming, the jungle, welcome to the jungle. Because every time you go in there, I remember some of those wars with Pittsburgh where guys were getting knocked out. You know those wars. I mean, Joey Porter on the field, getting into it with some of the players late in that playoff game. Like, there were some wars with Pittsburgh where that became one of the hottest rivalries, or at least the most physical rivalry in football for a brief spell. It was only like a 3-year stretch there, but I was looking forward to those games. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, and I wanted it in Cincinnati. Those were the best ones. Those were the ones that always came with extra drama and some kind of crazy finish and some controversy. And the jungle is a nasty place to play. When they're good, it can get really loud in Cincinnati. They don't call it the jungle for nothing, man. So, yeah, you got a taste of that tonight. And they're good. They're good right now. And when you're a bad team and, the fans, they let you know it. They don't show up. But when they feel like, and you know what really gave them a jolt of energy? Joe Burrow. That made them believe again. We can do this. We got a franchise guy again. So, the jungle was definitely rocking tonight for sure. Got another super chat. Let's see. And it is from my guy, Fat American. Again, thank you for the super chat, Fat American. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, got my 2004 plus penny video ready just in case, bro. I can't with you, Fat American. I cannot. You in 2005, man. You would think we won the Super Bowl that year. The way you talk about and romanticize about 2005. We won a playoff game. It's the last time we've won a playoff game, but I digress. You in 2005, man. That is hilarious. Hawk TV, what up, my guy? What is going on with you? JP, my guy John Perez writes, good for Cincinnati. My boys from LSU, Burrow, and Chase are balling. Yes, they are. Indeed. They are balling big time. And that we knew that that connection would pick up right where it left off. That's why I was in favor of Cincinnati selecting Jamar Chase. That's why I mocked him there. Because to me, I know a lot of people said they needed to get the tackle. I said, look, you got Jonah Williams coming back. A lot of people forget about that. Jonah Williams missed his entire rookie season. And I said, he's coming back. It's like you're going to have 2 first-round picks, with Jonah Williams coming back. You'll be fine on the offensive line. Shore up some of the other, areas of that offensive line, but don't pass up on an opportunity to get an elite, true number 1 wide receiver and a guy that just happens to have the kind of chemistry with Joe Burrow that Jamar Chase has. And they were smart in doing that. A lot of people tried to tell them that they were stupid for doing that. And I said, look, get the receiver. You got to tackle. Get the receiver. You'll be fine. They did that. Jonah Williams is playing well. And they're playing well are Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So your boys are definitely balling from LSU. Got another super chat. This is from Captain Spartan 04. Thank you for the super chat, Captain Spartan. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, quick college football talk. I was going to do this on the podcast tomorrow anyway. It's a big college football weekend. I'll be tuned in for sure. Some really big matchups, couple of big matchups in the SEC with Arkansas and Georgia. You've got Ole Miss and Alabama. That was one of the best games in the regular season for me last year, was that ridiculous shootout at Ole Miss where neither offense could be stopped. And then finally, Alabama pulled away late. But he says, quick college football talk. Ole Miss, Bama, Cincy, Notre Dame. That's another big-time matchup. 2 top 10 teams in that one. Georgia, Arkansas, that's 2 against 8. Cincy, Notre Dame is 7 against 9. Bama versus Ole Miss is 1 against 12. So you're getting some big-time matchups. Kansas State against Oklahoma. Kansas State won the last 2 matchups against Oklahoma. Oklahoma coming off of a game where they won against West Virginia by a field goal, in which the fans at Oklahoma chanted for their true freshman quarterback. Everybody's talking about Spencer Rattler. The Oklahoma fans are like, get this guy the hell out of the damn lineup. So they've got some issues going on. Michigan, Wisconsin. I don't believe in Wisconsin, so I think Michigan will take care of business there. Florida, Kentucky. That'll be a solid matchup there, but I think Florida is the better of the 2 teams. And Baylor, Oklahoma State. So there are, and that's like 21 versus like 23 or whatever, 2 top 25 teams towards the back end of the top 25. So a lot of good football this weekend. I will definitely be watching quite a bit of college football this weekend after taking last weekend essentially off, even though I did see Clemson lose to NC State. I told you guys 3 weeks ago, this college football season is wide ass open. We could crown a brand new champion this year. Clemson will not be playing for a national championship. Now the question is, will Alabama be playing? We could get 2 new participants this year. And I don't think Ohio State's going to make it either. So We'll see. This shit is wide open. I'm going to say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. If you're a fan like me, like Notre Dame, we got a shot this year. I don't think we're good enough. If we would have had last year's defense this year with the offense that we feature this year, I think we would have had a shot. But I don't think we're good enough defensively, and I don't think offensively we're going to be good enough to overcome the fact that our defense isn't as dominant as it was last year. But shit, I'll take it. If I don't have to play Alabama or Clemson in the playoffs, I'll take my chances this year, okay? So we got a murderer's row schedule. If we somehow are able to come out of the other side of that thing undefeated, we'll deserve a playoff spot, and we'll have a shot because this shit is wide open. If Bama makes it, they're going to win the whole thing again, more likely than not. Anyway, thank you for that super chat, Captain Spartan. We'll talk more about the college football season tomorrow on the podcast for sure. Protect Sports Network, my guy Tones, what up, writes, what up, Louie? Game was lit, bro. Indeed, it was. Big Blue Rising writes, why do the Bengals offense take so long to get going? I talked about that emotional letdown. Now, again, as much as I want to talk about emotional letdown, the win over the Steelers and how big that was, and they came out flat, they still moved it down the field on their opening offensive possession. I'm going to tell you what really deflated them was the missed field goal. I talked about that on the podcast yesterday about how important field goal kicking is, because when you miss a kick, it changes the momentum of the game. The Bengals did not respond well to that missed field goal, and they never recovered in the first half until the fourth down stop that literally happened with about 40 seconds left in the first half. So it literally took them, let's call it 30 minutes. So no, yeah, let's say about 30 minutes. Let's call it, because I think Jacksonville had a possession and then Cincinnati had a possession. So I'd say it took them about 30 minutes to wake up from that lull after that missed field goal. So, sometimes it's like that where you just can't get it going. You're stuck in a rut. But the good thing is they woke up in enough time. Sometimes you don't wake up until it's too late. They woke up at just the right time with that fourth down stop. If they wake up a second later or a half yard later, they lose this football game. So they woke up at the perfect time. DeAndre Jackson writes, Burrow is the best of the young QBs in the league. Jamar Chase got hands. I'll tell you what, Justin Herbert has something to say about that. Trevor Lawrence showed you a little something tonight. I don't think he's in that conversation, obviously, right now. But there are a lot of good young quarterbacks, man. But that class in 2020, if you've been following me on my other channel, my card collecting series channel, yes, I do collect cards if you didn't know that. If you've been following me on my other channel, I've been chasing after those 2020 quarterbacks for a very long time, still haven't gotten to them yet. But that's why I'm chasing after them, because I believe in Herbert and Burrow. Those guys are legit. They're the real deal. So, yeah, you could make the argument that Burrow, remember, before Burrow's injury, he was on pace and on track to win Rookie of the Year last year, offensive Rookie of the Year. He would have won. He gets injured. It opens the door for Justin Herbert, and he goes right through it, takes advantage, and doesn't look back. And so Burrow's right there. We could have that discussion all day long. I'm a Burrow guy. But Herbert is showing me some things, man. He really is. Derek B, thank you for the comment, who writes, Jags blows 2 second half timeouts, then doesn't have enough to use the on D to get the ball back. Urban doesn't even bother to use the timeout, last timeout, to ice a kicker. Maybe the NFL isn't for Herb. I was thinking the same thing. You wasted 2 timeouts early in the half, and I said that's a no-no. This isn't Ohio State. This isn't Florida. This isn't Utah. You can't be wasting second half timeouts. Those are precious. You know how I feel about second half timeouts. You can do whatever the hell you want to do with your first half timeouts. Knock yourself out. Second half timeouts, man, it better be a damn good reason why you burning this timeout. Because for me, if it's, first and 10, I'm going to take the delay of game. To hell with that shit. Now, if it's 3rd and 2, yeah, I don't want 3rd and 7. Yeah, I get it. But if I got 3 downs to pick up 15 yards, man, I'm taking a delay of game. I'm not burning the second half timeout. Not in a game that I think ultimately is going to come down to potentially me having timeouts to try to get the football back. And I agree with you. I'm not a guy that likes to take timeouts at home with me in my back pocket. Doesn't do me any good. I don't get 4 timeouts to start the next game because I saved one from this game. I tell you what I would have done, even if I'm not going to use that last timeout. I told you what I would do. I would walk down to the official. I want the kicker to see me go down to the official because I want him to be in his mind think, oh, I'm about to get a free kick. He's going to call timeout. And I go over there, put my hands up like I'm going to call it, and I'm going to tell the official, I'm not calling timeout. I am not calling timeout. I want him to think I'm calling timeout. Don't blow that whistle. I'm not calling timeout. And I want him to look at me doing this, and I never call timeout. And I'm hoping to play mind games. But he didn't even do that. He just did the Urban Meyer thing where he gets down with both hands on his knees, doesn't look, and hopes for a miracle. And it didn't work out for him in this particular game. Got another super chat, or 2 actually. This one is from Chauncey Davis. Thank you for the super chat, Chauncey Davis. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chauncey Davis, writes, Lou, Chauncey, you don't have to concern yourself with Clemson this year. They came to Raleigh last week and got cooked. I already talked about that. Got cooked in 2 overtimes. NC State beat their pride. Yep, they're done. They're all. I don't remember the last time that Clemson's been ranked. I think they're like 20th or 24th in the nation now. Like, when's the last time they've been out of the top 10? I can't remember. But that loss to NC State, I told you, I watched them a couple of weeks ago struggling with Georgia Tech before I was like, I've seen enough of this. They don't have it. They don't have the sauce. They don't have the juice this year. We saw that in their big game with Georgia. And I can tell you this about Georgia. I'll save that for tomorrow. Anyway, yeah, they came to Raleigh and got cooked. They're done. Their season's over with. I agree with you. They're finished. Don't have to worry about Clemson this season. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And Chauncey Davis, first and foremost. Let me go back to my guy Chauncey for a second. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you, Chauncey Davis. Back to my man, Fat American. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you as always, Fat American, who writes, heard our front office liked Herbert. They know quarterback talent. You must have heard wrong. They couldn't have liked Herbert that much because if they did, you don't take a defensive end over a quarterback. I didn't like Herbert. I'm not going to sit here and second guess what I was feeling at the time. I didn't like Herbert. I wanted Chase Young because I didn't believe in Tua or Herbert. And if they believed in Herbert, then you take him number 2 instead of Chase Young. It's not even up for debate. They didn't believe in Herbert either. That's why they took Chase Young. You already had Montez Sweat. You didn't have to take Chase Young if you believed. The quarterback is the most important position. If you don't have that, you got nothing. So Chase Young is awesome. I don't regret the pick. Love Chase Young as a football player. I think he's going to be one of the best defensive players in the league when it's all said and done. But if they really believed in Herbert, which I don't think is the case, you take him at 2. You don't take a pass rusher over a quarterback. You take the quarterback. They didn't believe in Herbert. I don't buy that for 1 second. Dejon Bell, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Dejon Bell, who writes, is that Tua talk real? I don't think so. I can't say that with 100% certainty. But again, let me say what I just said. And this is why I didn't talk about it on Washington Football Nightly, because it's just noise. Like, Washington isn't trading for Tua in season. The Dolphins aren't trading for Deshaun Watson in season, more likely than not. Now, I won't rule that out. But remember, we heard rumors of the Dolphins sniffing around Watson before the season started. Remember, their head coach, Brian Flores, had to end a press conference early by saying, Tua's our guy. We're talking about the players that are here. He named about 3 or 4 guys in the locker room, and then he walked off. You don't get that offended if there isn't some kind of validity to what's being said. With that said, though, you're in season now. I don't see them making a move for Watson. And I'll double down on this by saying, if Washington, just like I said with Herbert, if they loved Tua, they had a chance to take him. They didn't love Tua. So if you didn't love Tua coming out of Bama, or you weren't sure about his health because of his hip, he was coming off a hip surgery, if you recall, then if you didn't love him enough to take him then, you definitely don't love him enough to take him now because he hasn't done anything in the league to convince you that he's worthy of you trading for him, and he's hurt again. So if you had concerns about his health coming out of Alabama, well, he's hurt again, which is the case with Tua all the time. He's always hurt. Something's always wrong with him. So, no, to answer your question, I don't believe the rumors, but again, I can't confirm nor deny that. But that's why I didn't talk about it on the show, because I don't think there's any real truth to it. Not on our end. Maybe for the Dolphins, they may be going after, Deshaun Watson. But on our end, the part that had Washington fans all abuzz is that we're going to go after they acquire Watson. Now they don't need Tua. They're looking to give him away, and they're having a yard sale, and they'll give him away for a second-round pick. I don't see them doing that. I don't see Washington going after him with a second-round pick. I could be wrong. Derek B writes, I was going to blame you for starting the week 4 0-1 because I bought what you were selling about the Bengals, but Burrow and Uzama bailed me out. I would have taken that blame gladly. We would have been 0-1, brothers at 0-1 together. I didn't want to be your brother at 0-1. I'd rather be your brother at 1-0. But I was confident in what the Bengals were doing to start this season off. And look, if you would have tried to have blamed me for 0-1, I would have simply looked you in your face, Derek B, and said, were you really going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the game on the road after starting 0-3 and Trevor Lawrence having thrown 7 interceptions in the first 3 weeks? You were really going to pick them, even if I would have said, hey, look out for Jacksonville this week. You still were going to pick Cincinnati either way. Yeah, you might have been thinking about it slightly, and I might have just made you go ahead and say, why am I even thinking about this? But you were going to take Cincinnati. You were going to take them. Well, don't try to put that on my lap, okay? But anyway, I digress. Glad that we don't even have to have that conversation. We both got the win to start us off 1-0 in week number 4. Got another super chat. This one is from my guy, JP, John Perez. Thank you for the super chat, who writes, couple of things unrelated to the game. First, got on today's episode of Stephen A's World on ESPN Plus, left the clip for you on your Twitter page. And secondly, LSU versus Auburn is going to be a sneaky good game. It may be. We'll see. I don't like either one of those squads this year. I'm not a big fan of Nix, the quarterback for Auburn. LSU hasn't really rebounded from losing Joe Burrow. They're still trying to find a guy, which is but honestly, let's keep it a buck. Before Burrow got there, this has been the problem for LSU for years. They can't find a quarterback. They've got all kinds of defensive talent. They've got all kinds of skill guys left and right getting drafted in the first round. But the problem has always been quarterback. LSU's a hotbed for talent, man. They can find talent. Coach O can go out and get it. That's not the problem. The problem is they don't ever have a quarterback. And they had Burrow, and that's what put them over the top that 1 year. But we'll see. And another sneaky good game is Maryland hosting Iowa. That's a big game. Iowa's sitting at like number 6 in the nation or something like that. 4, 5, or 6. They're somewhere in that mix. And Maryland's undefeated. I don't know if Maryland's good enough to pull the upset, but I got a feeling that Old College Park's going to be rocking, man. That could turn into a real sneaky trap game for Iowa if they're not careful. But I think Iowa's too tough to go in there and lose that football game. I watched a little bit of Maryland's game against, I want to say it was West Virginia. It was Illinois. They barely escaped against Illinois. So I don't know if they're ready for Iowa or not, but that should be a really interesting game, to say the least. I'll check that clip out of you on Stephen A's World. Thank you for the super chat, JP. Niners fan. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar performance by Zach Wilson against a shaky Titans D this week. I don't know about Zach right now. And I love Zach Wilson. I still think he's going to be a really good quarterback. I don't know if he's got confidence right now, though. And they just got blanked by the Broncos. And the Broncos are one of the best defenses in football. Titans do have a shaky defense, but I don't know, man. I don't know if that Jets offense is in the right frame of mind to go out and do what is necessary to be competitive. Can they stop Derrick Henry? If they can stop Derrick Henry, they may be able to slow down Ryan Tannehill, who had 2 interceptions this past week. They may get him to turn it over once or twice, but the Jets are dropping like flies. Their best defender, Marcus May, just went down for 3 to 4 weeks with an injury. I mean, they're in a rough spot, man. I just don't trust the Jets right now to do anything. And Zach Wilson looks uncomfortable. He looks really, really uncomfortable. But that's something to keep an eye on. We'll see. Derek B says, did you see P-Ron coming up big when Mixon went down? Every year I'm shocked that he's still in the league. Hey, look, what did Jay Gruden tell you? Samaje P-Ron's a hell of a football player, a hell of a running back. And he'll do big things in this league. That's what Jay Gruden said when he was forced to cut Samaje P-Ron loose by Bruce Allen. And he got quickly snatched up by Cincinnati and has been on that Bengals roster ever since. Samaje has slimmed down. He's still physical. And he does all the little things, all the dirty work. And you saw it when he came in, got some tough yardage, physical. It held on to the football, which was the most important thing. So he's hanging around, man. Samaje is hanging around. Vincent Coe, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, is Mixon a top 10 back in the NFL to you? Dude's got mad talent. Yeah, he's definitely a top 10 back. And he just got to stay healthy. That's been the story of Joe Mixon's career to this point, is when he's healthy. And he's been healthy a lot. I don't want to make it seem like he's injury prone. But last year was a rough season for him. It was a rough season for the Bengals all around, with Burrow going down and Mixon missing much of the season last year. But when Joe Mixon is healthy, he's one of the best running backs in football for sure. So he's definitely top 10. Easy top 10. Captain Spartan 04 writes, no mention of CJ Henderson trade yesterday. Also, when are these high top picks going to pay off? Josh Allen, Kayvon Chason, and Miles Jack. They're talented. What's happening? Well, Miles Jack is still playing solid football. I've been really disappointed in Kayvon Chason. Like, I remember thinking, with more, and I said this, he was extremely raw. Probably needed to go back to LSU for one more year. I think he came out a year early. But that said, wasn't really expecting much of him in his rookie season. But I still haven't heard anything 4 games in this year. That's the part that's really frustrating and disappointing. Now, he could be hurt right now. I don't even know. That's how quiet he's been. Josh Allen, remember, had a really strong rookie season. And I don't know if he's really came close to meeting the expectations of what that rookie season brought, But I didn't mention the CJ Henderson trade. I did actually forget about it because, remember, we talked about it early in the season when his name started to float around. And I said, Herb must not like him. That's one of those guys that was drafted in the first round before Urban Meyer took over. And I'm like, Herb must not really like that dude. And that's fine. You have that when new coaches come in, new GM. They got a new GM. They got a new head coach. But Herb's really running the show. You get that. You turn the roster over. You got players that you didn't draft, that you didn't sign in free agency, that you're not really a huge fan of. And he was one of them. And the fact that they would give away a first-round pick essentially for a tight end and some, draft capital is like, whoa. But they didn't love CJ Henderson. So he's now off to Carolina. They could use him now that they have the injury to J.C. Horn. Let's see if CJ Henderson can revive his career, And I say revive. I use that term loosely. I probably shouldn't even say that because that would insinuate that he's been a massive disappointment. I mean, he's only been in the league 1 year. So let's see if Matt Rule, who I love as a coach, especially a defensive-minded guy, let's see if he can get the most out of CJ Henderson. So Vincent Coe says, that Irwin kid, literally Trevor Lawrence in another universe wearing 16, LOL. That's the guy, Trent Irwin. I couldn't think of his name, with the great back shoulder catch from Joe Burrow from Stanford, the rookie out of Stanford. So Cincinnati's littered with talent. And the only reason you say that is because he's got the little gold hair coming out of his helmet and he's wearing the number 16. But I mean, dude, Trent Irwin's probably like 6'1", maybe 6 feet. He's not a big dude. Like Trevor Lawrence is like 6'6". So yeah. Anyway, I digress. I think I got another super chat down here. And I do. Mr. Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mr. Wright writes, how good is Micah Parsons? He's damn good. He's so good, man. We knew that coming out of Penn State, and then when he blazed his pro day the way that he did, it was just confirmation that this dude is dripping, oozing every nook and cranny with talent, man. It's just ridiculous. And if he gets on the right squad that takes advantage of all of his skill sets, not just saying, hey, you're a linebacker, like the Buffalo Bills did with my guy from Virginia Tech. Tremaine Edmonds, where they just said, okay, you're a middle linebacker. The Cowboys are like, nah, Michael Parsons is a linebacker, but he's also going to be a guy that rushes on third downs. Like, we're going to use this guy, all of his skill sets, all of his traits. I love that. That's how I would use Tremaine Edmonds as well. But the Bills, they didn't see fit to do that, and he's been playing really well for them. So I can't say that they're wrong. But Michael Parsons is a do-it-all type of football player. He can run, he can hit, he's instinctual, he's physical, he can rush the passer, he can drop into coverage. I mean, there's a lot of things that this guy can do, and there aren't many he can't do. And the Cowboys got themselves one hell of a football player. If he keeps his head screwed on straight, which was, I think, a knock on him coming out of Penn State, that, I don't know if everything we heard about him was true in the process about the hazing and all of that stuff and some immaturity. But, the Cowboys don't give a shit about that. They took Randy Gregory. They took Des Bryant. They always take the guys that have checkered past. They're willing to give you a chance. If you could play football, the Cowboys will overlook any issues you may have. And I don't even know if his were that serious. Bottom line is, he's a hell of a football player. Period. End of discussion. Bigger TV, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Bigger TV, writes, what's good, Lou? What's good, Bigger TV? What do we do with Landon Collins? I mean, nothing. He plays this year out. If they don't love his performance, he'll be cut after the season. All right. I think this is his last year in Washington. Truly, I do. But still 14 games left for him to come out and all of a sudden become an all-world safety for us and redeem himself and make himself worth the contract that he's being paid. Right now, I don't see that being the case. And I think at season's end, if they really are serious about re-signing Brandon Sheriff, even if they're not, it's still other guys like Terry McLaurin and, Daron Payne and other guys that need to get paid, Cole Holcomb. If you're serious about retaining those guys, you're going to cut bait with Landon Collins, free up some salary cap there. Brandon Sheriff's $18 million comes off the books. Whether you re-sign him or not, he's not going to have an $18 million cap hit in the first year of a new deal anyway. So they're going to free up some cap space next year with Sheriff's deal coming off the books. And I think they're going to get rid of Landon Collins too and free up some money there as well. But we'll see what happens. Red Wings 01, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I got Stafford as my MVP front runner. Who you got? Right now, I think he is solidly in first place, but I don't think he's going to run away with it early in the season. There are other players that are going to make it interesting. I think I saw Derek Carr's name in there right now. They're off to a hot start, obviously, and Derek Carr is off to a hot start. Brady's name is in there, as it should be. I mean, man had a 5-touchdown pass game in week 2 versus the Falcons, against the Falcons. So there are a bunch of guys in that mix, but right now Stafford has been the biggest difference maker on any team right now. And of course, they're undefeated at 3-0. So Kyler Murray's in that discussion with the start to the season that he's had. There's several guys in that discussion, but I think Matthew Stafford right now is the front runner. But again, it's so early. I don't like having MVP talk until we get to the midpoint of the season. That's when you really start to see guys separate and All right. Let's see what the records are. Let's see what guys are doing. And then you start to get a feel for who's good, who's not good. And can you continue this? Remember what we were saying about Russell Wilson, the first, 5-6 weeks of the season. Look what happened. He wasn't even close at the end of the season in terms of the MVP race. We were ready to lock it up and give it to him after 5 or 6 weeks last year. He didn't win. He didn't even come close. When we were at season's end, we were talking about Josh Allen and the eventual MVP, Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes again. Like, those are the guys that we were having a discussion about. So it's too early right now to be talking about MVP, but if I had to pick one, yeah, it'd be Matthew Stafford for sure right now. We've passed our hour mark. I might take a couple more before we get out of here. Captain Spartan writes, I still don't believe in Zach Taylor. I think I might be right there with you. He says, but I do like this Bengals team. Actually kind of glad they have some success because I know their fan base has been suffering. I kind of think I'm right there with you on Zach Taylor. I'm still not a true believer in Zach Taylor, but I've said this a million times. I'll continue to say it. Winning cures all. It is the best deodorant. I think a lot of people thought Zach Taylor, was going to be fired after last year. They were so bad, and it seemed like the team was ready to have a mutiny. And there was that, I think it was in The Athletic, there was an article written about the Bengals and how bad of a train wreck of an organization they were and the internal fighting and struggling that they were having. And, it was a mess. The whole Carlos Dunlap situation, he ultimately gets traded. It was a mess. And I thought Zach Taylor is going to be the one held responsible for this. He keeps his job, and they're off to a 3-1 start, and it easily could be 4-0 right now. So we'll see. I still got my doubts about Zach Taylor, but getting off to a really good start as he has this season really is a huge step in the right direction for him. But got to continue to play top-notch football. So we'll see what happens there. All right. Let's see. Let me see what my guy Rashid is talking about. He says, Lou, why did you miss my shout out for being a member for 2 months? I just didn't see it. I don't skip over these things purposefully. I didn't see it. And I saw that they've been giving me updates on that. But I don't, when I run down my comment section, I don't see it. I haven't been seeing them. So I apologize and shout out to you for being a member for 2 months. And there are several of you who have been members from pretty much the word go and have hit that 2 month mark and have that that new emblem by your name, because as you continue to be a member, you gain different badges next to your name. And so I think you guys have gained the S in squad now. So congratulations to all of you who have that S and continue to earn letters as you continue to in that pursuit to become a certified member of the Mob Squad. So thank you for being a loyal member of the Mob for the last 2 months. And as far as skipping over you volunteering to be a mod, I didn't see that either. Sorry. I asked that, and every time I ask, does anyone want to be a mod, I always tell people, hit me in my DMs, because I'm not going to just make anybody a mod. I got to make sure that you're worthy of being a mod. So those are people that are always in the comment section that watch my videos routinely, and I know I can count on them to be in these streams and police the comment section and be vocal and making sure to remind people to like the video, subscribe, check out the merch, drop links in the comment section, things of that nature. And so I'm not going to just put anybody in that role, but hit me in my DMs. And if you're interested, I'll respond and then we'll go from there. But I didn't see that from you. Maybe I missed it. That's possible, but hit me up. Hit me up. Anyway, got another super chat, and I think this one will take us home right here. Chauncey Davis, my guy, Chauncey, double up, thank you for the super chat, Chauncey. And once again, thank you for being a valued member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, Chauncey, maybe because I'm older, you called me an OG the other day, which my wife thought was funny. You are an OG. Okay. That's why I call you that. You're an OG. He says, but we're going to turn this thing around. I believe you. I'm on. Look, I told you guys to get in the whip. And I said, I'm not taking my seatbelt off. I'm in this thing for the long haul. You know that. And I feel like you're in there with me. But I told you when things get rough, Chauncey, and you know this, you've been around long enough as an OG, you know that when things get rough, a lot of the young boys like to bail. I don't want to say my generation, but my generation is somewhat guilty of this too. We're not like your generation. You guys are built different. You guys are built for tough. Mentally, physically, emotionally, you guys are wired differently. These young boys, they jump at the drop of a hat. That's why you don't see people working for the same company for 30 years anymore. Because these young kids don't have the attention span to do that. Oh, I see a better job over here. They're going to pay me more money. I don't care about benefits. I don't care about rolling over the 401k plan. I'm going to take this job. Oh, these guys are treating me bad. I don't like the way they talk to me at work. I'm going to take this job instead. Oh, maybe making a little bit less money, but I hate this job that I'm working at. So I'm going to take this job. These young boys, they go at the drop of a hat. So easy for them to bail on a team after the first 3 weeks of a 17-game season and say that we stink. Time to look forward to the draft because that's what the young boys do. So again, that's not how I'm built. That's not how you're built. And that's not how all of the fan base is built. Okay. I don't want to make this blanket generalization as if the entire fan base is quitting on the team, because more people have said, I'm with you, Louie T. I'm not quitting on this team. No matter if we lose to the Falcons, I'm not giving up. We're going to turn this thing around, yada, yada, yada. So more people have said that than the people who are talking about the draft. But I'm not in these Facebook groups, and I'm not in these little, factions over here that are talking about this, that, and I stay away from that stuff because a lot of it is nonsensical. It really is. And a lot of it is toxic too. You intake enough of it and it starts to warp the way you think. So I'm not in all of that stuff. So I can't really say what everybody else is saying. I'm in my little, bubble here on YouTube, and I venture out from time to time, over here and over there, but I stay in my little bubble because it's safe. Okay. It's safe. I control the narrative in my little bubble, in my little space. When you go outside and there's 800 people out here that are keyboard warriors. I mean, they're fierce and they are so tough because you can't see them. A lot of things get said, man, and it gets ugly out there on socials. Be careful. All right. But I'm old enough to know. But I think we're going to turn it around too. I'm right there with you, Chauncey. So you're preaching to the choir, man. But I don't think when you make those comments, I don't think you're talking to me. I think you're talking to the rest of the fan base in hopes that they hear the message as well and understand. But I can't say how you feel and who you're directing that message to. But let me reiterate and reassure you, I'm with you. Okay. I think we're going to turn this thing around, but we'll see. Actions speak louder than words. I cannot stress that enough. So with that said, that is going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me here on Thursday Night Football Overtime. Jags Bengals gave us a performance tonight. Really thought we were going to get a dud. They threw us a nasty changeup and gave us an epic Thursday night game to go in line with pretty much what we've gotten. 3 out of the 4 Thursday night games have been stellar. This one fits in that category. 24-21, the Bengals get the win on a walk-off field goal from their rookie kicker, Evan McPherson, to run their record to 3-1 on the season. Meanwhile, it continues to be a season of heartbreak for Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars as they fall to 0-4 and just fall short of getting their first victory of the season and the first for Urban Meyer as an NFL head coach, and the first for number 1 overall draft pick quarterback Trevor Lawrence after having a 14-point lead in this game. In the first half, the Bengals rally back, or the Jaguars blow that. The Bengals rally back, tie the game at 14, blow that, relinquish the lead again, only to catch back up, tie it up at 21, and ultimately kick the game-winning field goal. So it's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, on the Louie T Network on this overtime series. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow for the Louie T Network podcast. If you're a Washington fan, I look forward to chopping it up with you tomorrow on Washington Football Nightly. Whatever the case may be, I will see you on Friday for sure. In any event, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. God bless, and good night.